The next thing I want to say is the kind of intellectual arguments that atheists have been using are just completely dishonest arguments. For example, some atheists will say, when a Christian says, how can something come from nothing? The atheist community say, well, things do come from nothing. You know, right at the quantum level, things just pop into existence. So, haha, things do come from nothing. Or Krauss, who said, nothing is not nothing. I mean, these are just two examples of complete dishonesty. I mean, nothing. When we say nothing, we mean nothing. Right at the quantum level, if something pops up, it's not coming from nowhere. There are things around, already around. So it's not a complete vacuum. And if you talk about the Krauss position, where he talks about nothing, there is something that is nothing. It's just a stupid comment and a dishonest comment. At some point in time, there was literally nothing. And when I say nothing, I mean nothing. And how can something come from nothing? And the answer is it can't. But the atheists are just not honest about it. The intellectual foundations of atheism is completely dishonest. The definition of atheism today is not the definition of atheism of 30, 40, 50 years ago. The definition today is atheism is an absence of belief due to a lack of evidence. And what the atheist is saying is the burden of proof is on the Christian. This is just complete dishonesty. It complete utter intellectual dishonesty, because it's not a question of a burden of proof of anybody. It's a question of whether your belief system has evidence and whether it has explanatory power. Okay? And the point is, with the atheists, they don't have any evidence in terms of critiquing Christianity. So, for example, the Christian presents that Jesus rose from the dead. There's no real evidence that the atheists have presented or can present to say that Christ didn't rise from the dead. And then in terms of explanatory power, whether there is a God or not, as we use atheism and use that as a methodology to understand some of the big questions of our time, like, is history meaningful? Is there a right and wrong? As we ask those questions, atheism can't answer, because it's just not a big enough worldview. So it has no evidence, it has no explanatory power. All it seeks to do is hide behind a masquerade of, we don't have to provide any evidence, we don't have the burden of proof. And it's just intellectually dishonest, and it's hiding away from the intellectual challenges and questions of our time. The atheist of 30 to 40 years ago was not as dishonest as the atheist today. And the other thing as well, in terms of epistemology, the atheists are so besotted with the kind of scientism that all rationality can be is science, which is a complete utter fallacy, because there is more to knowledge than just science. There is more to knowledge, justification of knowledge, than just science. There is logic, and there is intuition, and there's feelings, there is historical knowledge as opposed to scientific knowledge, etc. There's a whole variety of epistemological issues that are much more complex and much more richer than this mantra of scientism that the atheists bang on about. And then issues of evolution, it cannot be sustained. It has so many holes in it, so many factual information that's not correct, and that's a fact. the complete dishonesty of the atheists by saying things like biogenesis, evolution is not biogenesis. So just because we can't prove that something, that non-life can come from nothing, doesn't mean to say that evolution's not true, because that's a biogenesis. It's not evolution. Well, I'm sorry. At what point did biogenesis not become a biogenesis and become evolution? At what point? You don't know. So in other words, biogenesis merges into evolution, and it's a significant issue that you can't get life from non-life. And therefore it puts the whole question of evolution, it fundamentally undermines it, because the postulate of its starting point cannot be proved. And these are just things that the atheists are intellectually dishonest about. They bring up questions about the Bible, like saying that Luke, when he mentions Quirinius, that he's got that wrong. And yet ancient historians and ancient historiography would never even question a text like that. If they found a text that seemed to get something wrong, but they're right on a number of things, they would say, well, it's probably us that have got it wrong. It's probably us that have not understood the times. And so when the skeptics are using tactics like that, they're not using the tactics of ordinary scholars. They're using underhanded tactics. But I just think that atheism doesn't provide any meaning to life, doesn't provide any rationality, it doesn't provide any morality. Basically, it's just a bunch of people who have a deep-seated prejudice towards religion. Not all atheists, but most of them. They don't like religion, they have a deep-seated prejudice, and they just don't want to know. They don't want to know about Christianity, and they've got this prejudice towards Christianity, and they're full of prejudice, and that's where they're coming from. They're not coming from objectivity, they're not coming from honest seeking of answers and truth. They're coming with this deep-seated prejudice and hatred for the Christian faith. That's where these modern atheists are coming from. I'm not saying all atheists. Most of the atheists that I've met on the streets are very nice people. I'm just saying this modern new atheism that we see on YouTube. I think what I've learned from atheists is to have no nonsense, to get to the quick, get to the straight answers. Atheists like straight answers. I've learned that from the atheists. But I've learned that their scholarship on the life of Christ is not only poor, it's despicably bad. They're not even on the radar when it comes to world scholarship in this area. And I've learned that the complete lies, complete pathetic scholarship that they have in that area, because that's an area that I know a lot about. And I've learned that so clearly. And I honestly believe that atheism is nowhere near, in a million years, the truth. It doesn't answer any questions. It's negative and parasitical. It feeds off Christianity by attacking Christianity. And it feeds off Christianity by proselytizing, trying to get converts from Christianity. And it's more like a cult. It lacks any real intellectual honesty. It lacks any real answers. And it doesn't even know what it's attacking half the time. It doesn't understand what it's attacking. And it, atheism can't be compared in a million years to Christianity. Christianity is not parasitical. It does not feed off atheism. It doesn't feed off any other religion or any other group. It just goes out and preaches the gospel. People get saved. Atheism has to feed off religion. It has to get its converts from religion. Get people to see that their religion is not rational. That's what they try to do. And then they get converts for that, who are built into their prejudice, built around their prejudice and their prejudice ways of thinking. And once the atheist becomes like that, then it's very difficult to get them out, because they become brainwashed. They think they are thinking, but they're not thinking. They've just been brainwashed by these new atheists. I'm glad that I stood up against these atheists. But to put it bluntly, they're just a nasty bunch of people. I mean, I prove it. The top man that they have, D.P.R. Jones, accuses, or nearly accuses, a Christian evangelist, a Christian faith healer of paedophilia. Now, if he's got an issue with the guy, he should have just phoned the police. Said the guy, D.P.R. Jones, phones the guy's work and complains about the guy. Now that is wrong. That is harassment. That is not right. I like D.P.R. Jones. I care about D.P.R. Jones. But that is not right, mate. That is not right. And this guy is one of the top atheists on YouTube. And this kind of behaviour is disgusting. And it's not right. And you deserve ridicule. You deserve mocking. You deserve opposition with that kind of behaviour. And you, Aaron Wright, deserve it too. You ripped into a girl. There was one girl and there were 4 of you atheists ripping into her. 4 of you. And you deserve being ridiculed and mocked if you're that kind of bully. And you got to remember the context of my fight against atheism. We're talking about hundreds of atheist channels the last 3 years. It seems to have calmed down recently, but it was in the context, my ministry against you political atheists, that fight, it was in the context of a time when you had hundreds, absolutely hundreds of channels attacking Christianity, ridiculing Christianity. And I was one of the very few who stood up against you and said, we're not having this. And it also came in the context, you absolutely vilified me as atheist. You vilified me. So you can't complain when I turn around and turn the heat on you. Okay? So the bottom line really is there are lots of good atheist people around in every city, town and village, and they're a credit to atheism. And I've talked to one Irish guy recently who's in America. People like that are a credit to atheism. But there is, and there has been, the last 4 or 5 years, and there is a nasty, acrimonious, bitter, underhanded, new atheism that is doing a lot of harm, creating a lot of acrimony, and If people wake up and see that this was not right, then I've done my job. And that's all I wanted to do and achieve for all the videos that I've ever made, is for people to wake up and realise how nasty, how dangerous these new atheists are. So my work is done now. It's up to other people to take the fight and to do things. I would suggest you wouldn't get involved with the people, but you would just write books, set up. Don't get involved with these militant atheists. Don't bother with them. They're not worth getting involved. But start your websites, write your books, do your lectures, critiquing atheism generally. Don't get involved with them, because then you come down to their level. And that's what I suggest you do. I just thank God that the vast majority of atheists are decent folk, and I thank God that most people are different. They're not all like these militant atheists. The world's a different and colourful place, and I've done my part in trying to awaken people to this dangerous political group, but it's not for me. I've done my job in that area, and I have come to the end of it now. And what other people do from there and from here is up to them. And that's where I'm at. Those are my thoughts. So I wish everybody the best, and I wish you all a happy life, and I hope to see you around every now and again at other channels. Okay, take care, bye now.